More and more Europeans are getting residency in Paraguay. My name is Gerald. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Nomad Elite, a cutting-edge relocation agency that helps people from all over the world, including the United States of America, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and many other locations, relocate to Paraguay. I'm sitting here today with Alex Stenko, a Ukrainian national and a valued client of Nomad Elite. And today I'm going to ask Alex about his experience living in Paraguay and actually, first of all, getting residency in Paraguay. Thank you for your time, Alex. Thank you for coming. And so my first question to you is, what documents did you have to get before you could apply for Paraguay residency? I understand that you've now been approved. You're not a resident of Paraguay. You're in the process of doing your cedula, your national ID card. If you can please tell us about the document requirements that you had to fulfill to apply for Paraguayan residency.
All right, so from what I remember, of course, it was already a couple of months ago because, as you mentioned already, at the final step of getting residency. But I remember that I was requesting the criminal record. So it wasn't difficult to get. I believe in most of the countries in Europe, it's just pretty straightforward process. Because I'm working on cruise ships, I managed to get it through one agency as well back home, and I needed to go. I mean, I'm from Ukraine. I was working on a cruise ship at this time, and even though we are in state of war, but there are some institutions that still work. I just request that, and I got my criminal record. I believe that's that. And could you remind me what I actually don't remember what else? There's not. I don't even remember what else do we need for that.
You had to get your birth certificate and your passport, if you want to elaborate a little bit about that. Now, you are not married, so you didn't have to get a marriage certificate, but if you can elaborate just the process of getting a birth certificate, and did you have to get a new passport? If you can explain briefly what happened.
Yeah, thank you for reminding. You see, for me, that was probably not the easiest part. So I mean, I do have a valid passport, and I could stay here in Paraguay as a tourist for 3 months. So I believe Ukrainians were eligible for for stay here that long. And anyway, and then birth certificate. I believe I applied for it as well because it was the old birth certificate, because I was actually born in a country that not exist anymore, USSR. And I think the birth certificate was from that period, whatever. So I think my mom just helped me out with that. Back home, it's pretty straightforward system. Everything is online. We kind of requested. It was done within a couple of weeks, and then basically they could have shipped that for me, but I got it from my family directly because I reunite with them somewhere in Europe. So basically, I got all the documents, and it was very straightforward process. Was very easy.
Okay, so now we know the documents you had to get, and obviously those documents must always be a apostille. So you got that done. That's a requirement. And indeed, we have more clients from former Soviet Union countries. We have clients from those regions. We recently had a client from a region in Poland that used to be under the Soviet Union umbrella. And so his birth certificate was from a state issue that no longer exists. That used to be part of Russia, but it's now Poland. So it's not the easiest of things to handle if you have to redo this process and get the apostille again. Great. Now talk to us about what was it like being here in Paraguay. Talk to us about everything starting from the point you arrived and the process of getting residency here, actually applying for residency. Like, how did that work? I know you hired us, but if you can just explain the process and what you had to do.
Yeah, thank you for that. Well, I remember I arrived, first of all, everything was, again, pretty straightforward from the moment when one of the representatives of Nomad Elite meet me in the airport, and basically the next day once I was here in Asuncion already, we started the application process. And I don't think I'm going to recall in all steps what we were doing, but whatever we were doing, it was very easy. And again, I mentioned already, straightforward process. Basically, we end up entering a couple of institutions, like from what I understand, like Interpol, the local Interpol, where you do your fingerprints, and then within a couple of days, everything was done. And I know that somebody might claim that you technically could do it yourself, but just imagine the hustle, just imagine all this bureaucracy, especially if you don't speak local language. I think that would be so challenging and stuff. I believe personally that you just need to leave it for the professionals and stuff. So that's why, you see, I don't even remember what was the steps, to be honest, because everything was, guys, they took care of everything. So, and I really appreciate that because, again, I don't want to dive into it. I would rather, focus on my job or, focus on my leisure since I've been here on vacation. So that would have helped me to save some time and, work on my goals and my things. So you just keep it, or leave it for the professionals. That's it.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Now you're in the process of applying for your cedula. And by the way, this is now a requirement. It's mandatory that when you get your residency now, you have to come here multiple times. Whereas before, technically there's a 1 day per year minimum stay requirement, meaning you have to return to Paraguay annually while you are on temporary residency until you convert to permanent residency. Then the requirement drops to 1 day every 3 years. That's the current legislation. That's what it says, right? Now, in your case, you're back here to apply for your cedula, which is a requirement on temporary residency. So you must do it now. Whereas people, let's say, who applied half a year ago or a year ago, they didn't have to do that. So you see, the Paraguayan government is just making it slightly harder every time to get residency and to comply with all the requirements. Now, the minimum stay requirements, they have been the same now for quite some time, but just everything involved, it's getting a bit more tedious. So we want to communicate full transparency about this, and that's why we encourage people to not wait too long with getting Paraguayan residency, because the 5K bank deposit option that used to be in place, and by the way, some people are still contacting us about this option. They're like, hey, can I still deposit 5K into a Paraguayan bank account and obtain permanent residency? And we're like, no, that option expired 2 years ago. But still, the information is out there. It's outdated information. It no longer applies to people. So if you want to come here now, Alex explained what it was like applying as a Ukrainian. Obviously, the requirements for your residency may be different. Let's say you're married, you have to get a marriage certificate plus apostille, and you have to come here. If you're divorced, you have to get a divorce certificate plus apostille, right? So there are requirements, right? And say if you want to bring your children with you into Paraguay, then they are going to require their passports and their birth certificates, right? Now, for minors under the age of 14, we don't really need a criminal record certificate, but if they're older than 14, then we do. Now, do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share about getting Paraguayan residency? Maybe you can highlight some of the benefits. Why Paraguay? Why didn't you choose any other country? Why didn't you go to Europe? Why didn't you go to Central America? Why didn't you go to Colombia? Why Paraguay?
Thank you for the question, first of all. Paraguay, it's a unique country because of the opportunities that you basically facing. I know that they are part of Mercosur, so that gives you opportunity to travel even with your ID, basically without the passport. And since I'm a Ukrainian resident and I'm a Ukrainian passport holder, because of war, in my case, I cannot get a passport renewal in any other part of the world other than Ukraine. So for me, that's just plan B, which for now might transform to plan A. You never know. And we already spoke about this with Gerald. I actually told him that that's not the first time I've visited Paraguay, because for me personally, it is important to know where am I staying, because after traveling and being in so many places in the world, it's important to know the environment. And I really liked it. I spent here less than 3 days once traveling to Brazil. I just crossed the border, being at Foz de Iguaçu, crossed the border to Ciudad del Este, took the bus to Asunción, stay here for less than 2 days, but it was enough to understand, the vibe. If you are an experienced traveler, you know what I'm talking about. Understand the vibe, because it was important for me, not just, dive into a place that I never been. So once you're here, you understand right away that that's you belong here or not. People are very friendly, and that's the place you want to be surrounded with. And then if you don't mind, I just want to mention the thing that I do have my channel. So if anybody wants to follow me on my channel, I'm just vlogging whatever I'm doing. I'm living right now between Paraguay and Argentina. Looks like I'm gonna go back to my job on a cruise ships soon. So if you're up to that experience, stay tuned. And one more thing that actually I'm looking forward, I'm actually want to open the bank account here. That was one of the reasons to diversify basically your the assets and stuff, because again, since the things back home for me uncertain, I would love to have that bank account set up here, and I believe you need to become a resident so you don't have any questions from anybody else. That also going to give you opportunity maybe in the future to buy a real estate, and if you're a resident, there's so many doors are open for you. So it's a great plan B, maybe even plan A. We'll see.
Well, thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm grateful that you chose us as your trusted relocation agency in Paraguay. Thank you so much. If you're interested in obtaining Paraguayan residency yourself and you would like to work with Nomad Elite, please book a consultation with us today. You should see our link displayed on the screen right now. We've also added a link in the description of the video. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, and we see you on the next video.